She ain't ever had nobody. And when she. Okay. Hello, happy Thursday. It's been a minute since I've done a live stream, so welcome. Just pulling up my notes. Yeah, I guess I'll start there. Okay. Let me start because y'all know once I get to talking, I keep talking, and then we're on here for like 2 hours, and I cannot do that today. So, hello, welcome. I miss doing live streams. I feel like I was in a groove with it for a while, and then I kind of fell off because I went on vacation, but your girl is back, maybe at least doing them once a month. But hey, friends, hey, welcome to That's Real Live. And That's Real, my podcast is really about creating the life you want, not the one you were told to live. And, I talk about the importance of paying attention to these moments that make you say that's real, like these moments that spark curiosity and joy, something you find interesting, because I think it's a really big part of getting back to who we really are, which in some ways I think is why we're kind of all going through it right now. But hold on 1 second, I think I have something in my teeth. Oh my gosh, hello. Wait, it's so late for you. Oh my gosh, it's so late for you if you're tuning in from Paris. Thank you so much for joining. I'm always trying to pick a time that works for everyone because I know there's like quite a few of you guys who are international, but it's always so hard with my work schedule unless I do it on the weekend. But thank you for joining all of my European friends and just anyone in general, everyone in general. Divine intervention. Ooh, tell me more. But friends, today I just wanted to host this live because I genuinely feel like a lot of us feel like there's just been a lot going on. For those of you guys who are joining, you probably saw my Instagram story where I was just kind of like, is it me or do things seem weird right now? Like, does life feel like it's moving weird? And when I tell you guys that Instagram story, I received so many DMs to that Instagram story. I think that story got the most DMs that I've gotten off a story all year. So I was like, okay, we definitely need to come together and talk about this, talk about what's going on, just have some like good vibes because I don't want any of us like sitting in just the weight of the world right now because it is a lot. And I also don't want anyone to feel like they're going through it alone because trust and believe so many people are going through it right now, feeling like things are just changing and shifting and all the things that we're going to get into. But before we sorry, I was just eating an acai bowl. before we get into it, there's this little activity I would love for us to do. I learned it from this organization called Treats. The founder, Allison, shared this prompt in a workshop I attended. So before she starts her session, she asks, like, what are the tabs that you need to close to be fully present in this moment? And then what are the tabs that you want to open? So I wanted to use this time just for us all to just clear whatever it is that isn't serving us in this moment, myself included, so that we can fully embrace and just have a very intentional chat, conversation, have fun, feel good vibes. Oh, I got my it's so funny. Someone asked me that the other day too. I got my acai bowls from Love Juice Bar. They used to have 2 locations, but I think they only have 1 location now. But that's where I used to get my acai bowls. Definitely check it out. So anyway, so going into the tabs we need to close, or the tabs I personally feel like I need to close to be present in this moment. And if you feel open to sharing what your tabs are, feel free to drop them in the chat. But for me, I was thinking about this earlier. I wrote down 3. So the first tab I need to close is the perfectionist tab. Because I know for me, and especially when it comes to social media, like sometimes I can get kind of like in my head about like wanting to make sure I'm sharing in a certain way or making sure it comes across a certain way, whatever. It's like, no, I feel like now more than ever is the time for us to just show up as we are and just take that mindset of like needing to say it right, needing to get it right. Just remove it because it's not needed, it's not necessary. And I also feel like we connect more with each other when we're just like flowing and it's not so like boom, 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 everything needs to be super perfect. The second thing I wrote down was like this feeling of I need to know everything, like I need to be the expert. And especially because, yes, I do know a lot. I have learned a lot. I have had so many experiences. I also learn a lot from you guys. And I am so grateful that you guys are a very smart community. You guys know a lot. You guys have had so many different experiences. So, I really want this to be like a community thing. And I'm trying to get it out of my head that it's like, I need to be the person that knows everything. And then number 2 is people pleasing, because this has been on my heart a lot for some reason. And I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit in the conversation, but just like this idea that I need to like cater to every single person. It's like, I'm very much right now, like take what resonates, leave what you don't, leave what doesn't. But I feel like a lot of us kind of have that, even like outside of content creation, whatnot, just like the need to please. And then for the tabs that I want to open is I just want to be open to the flow of life, the flow of this conversation. We're going to see where it takes us. Number 2, exploring together, which is kind of like what I shared earlier, just exploring what the F is going on together, because I feel like we're all feeling it on some level. And then also just sharing what's on my heart freely, authentically. And I hope that you guys feel called to do the same. So if this is your first time joining one of my live streams, it's like they're usually not very structured. I'll kind of share a topic, which is basically the title of this video, and then feel free to ask questions in the chat. They can be related to this topic. They can be unrelated if it's just based off of an experience that I've had and you want some advice. I'm here to help. So nothing is set in stone. Nothing is by the rules here. Feel free to ask, share, whatever you want. And I love doing these because not only do I learn so much, but I feel like you guys do too, not even just from me, but from like other people in the chat. Or it's like, sometimes it's so funny. It's like someone will say something in the chat and I'm like, wait, that's how I'm feeling too. And then another person will chime in. So yeah, this is kind of like a free for all. So, okay, getting into the topic of this live stream, which is, actually, before I get into it, I see some people putting in the chat some of the tabs they want to close. So Victoria says, tabs I need to close are 1, procrastination for sure. It's gotten way too out of control. Okay, honestly, same for me. I'm not going to lie. Like, I feel like I've been in this, I don't want to say lazy era because I wouldn't consider myself a lazy person, but I don't know. It's like I just feel like I haven't been feeling like pulled or super motivated to do things lately, and it hasn't been easy. And then let's see, Victoria also says anxiety about posting on social media. I want just a page to show my journey between the States and Paris, but I don't post anything. Ooh, girl, post your content. People will eat that up. I do understand the anxiety behind it just because I know there's like so much social content out there right now, but post your concept, post your content. People want to hear what you have to say, I'm telling you. So, getting into the topic of this live stream. So, I feel like over the past month or so, maybe even longer, a lot of us have been feeling like we're just going through it, right? Like, and I actually wrote down like some examples of like how I feel like this is showing up, at least for like my friends or me or just like people who I've talked to. So if you relate to any of these, say that's real in the chat. And then also if there's like something that you've been feeling that I haven't mentioned, feel free to share that in the chat. Cause I'm also just curious to see like where everyone's at. And who knows, like maybe you're going through something that I'm also going through that I just didn't write down. So I do feel like we've all been going through it at all different extremes. It's either, there are people who just can't catch a break. They're on the hamster wheel of life. It's all about the hustle and bustle. I feel like there's definitely that extreme. But then I also feel like there's this extreme of people being very lonely right now and really craving community. And I think it's been tough for a lot of people to find community in some ways. And I'm seeing this all across the board, like not even just where I live, but, I have friends who live all around the world, all over the United States. It's like, I feel like it's happening everywhere. I also feel like there are a lot of us just navigating this like in between stage of life, which y'all know if you've been following or if you've been listening to some of my podcasts, I do talk about this a lot, where it sometimes feels like one chapter is closing, so another one can begin, but like you're not yet there. And it's like, it's maybe coming, but you're not sure what it looks like or what you should be working towards. And that can be really frustrating. On the other hand, it's like, I do think that social media has been kind of weird. So it's like, I like that you brought up just posting and stuff like that, just because I do feel like social media has been wild right now. And it's funny because it's like, I work in social media, then I'm a creator too. And I still do, in my heart of hearts, feel like social media is a great medium and a great tool. It's like, I think it's given a lot of, especially underrepresented voices, light. I also think it's helped a lot of businesses and brands and whatnot. I just think it's a good thing when people are using it in the right way. Sometimes I feel like it gets a little bit out of hand. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen this whole like thing about like AI influencers. And I think personally, that's what freaks me out the most is like, sometimes I'll be scrolling and it'll be someone who looks pretty normal talking about something, but then I'm like, oh, this is AI. Or, oh my gosh, the other day I came across this video that was Mel Robbins. I don't know if you guys have heard of Mel Robbins. She has a podcast that's honestly doing really, really well. I would highly encourage you to check it out. I think she's the one who came up with the let them theory. And I love her content so much, but I was scrolling on TikTok. I think it was TikTok, and it was definitely AI, and it was like using her face, her likeness, her voice, everything. And they were promoting feminine hygiene products. And I'm like, okay, I know this isn't really Mel Robbins, but that's crazy that they're using her likeness and everything to promote something. So I don't know. I just think we're in a really weird stage of social media right now, but I do think it's kind of the breakdown before the breakthrough, not just with social media, but just with everything that everyone's going through right now. On top of that, there's the eclipse and all of that, which the eclipse done took my nail, friends, which is crazy. This like literally never happens. um what is Danita says, I need to not have anxiety behind going back through my photos of my trip to Paris. I get so overwhelmed and sad because there is really no place I would rather be. What Tiff said, post it. I'm going to give myself a task to post one thing by the beginning of October. Oh, awesome. I love that. So if there's, on top of that, I don't know about you guys, but I've been having crazy dreams, like super weird dreams. Also, I don't know, my friends have also been going through weird things. Like it just seems like things are off, or we're kind of all just, again, experiencing the breakdown before the breakthrough. So you can let me know if that resonates with you. And my personal take on things right now is, in a way, oops, hold on, I messed up my notes. So my take on things right now is, in a way, I do think that we're all just being called to really step into our truth and who we are. And I think with that comes a lot of changes on the outside. It's like when you're doing the inner work, and even if you're not necessarily doing the inner work, I feel like sometimes we just reach these periods where it's like, okay, things are changing. We're being called to level up. We're being called to really come forth with who we truly are. And, sorry, I'm laughing because of a song lyric I wrote down that has to do with this. But I do think when we are becoming more and more of who we are, our outside starts to shift, because our outside world up until this point was kind of built around a different version of us, right? And I do think that's a big reason why a lot of us are experiencing shifts. I know for me, that's definitely a big part of it, because in these seasons of solitude, which is kind of what I feel like I'm going through right now for sure. It's like I feel like I'm kind of being forced to just look at myself and look at every aspect of myself and kind of figure out, okay, like what are the areas I want to grow in? And sometimes it's not even so like, okay, I want to grow in this area, so I'm going to try and do this thing. Sometimes it's just something will happen and I'm like, oh, that's something I didn't know about myself before. Let me do the work and kind of figure out what that's about. Right? It's like I feel like the more we really look at ourselves and really figure out what it is about ourselves that we, I don't know if I want to just say change, but want to maybe fully step into. I feel like the more we start to see like certain things just like aren't really aligned for us anymore, right? This could be people, this could be situations, this could be career aspirations. It just feels like things are shifting. And I I would say with shifts usually comes a lot of discomfort, right? Because if you were comfortable in where you were, I don't think you'd ever really, well, no, that's not how I want to say it. If you were comfortable, oh my God, I thought that was a bug. If you were super comfortable with where you were at and wanted to stay there, I I feel like these big shifts and things like that wouldn't be happening. Like I feel like these feelings of disconnect, these feelings of discomfort like wouldn't be happening if you were just kind of like okay with where you're at. And at the same time, it's like I do think that when we're having these feelings, it's because we're about to level up in some way, because usually getting to the next level of life requires some discomfort. And I can tell you guys, from taking risks and moving to new cities and changing careers and doing all the things, it's never come without some discomfort. It hasn't come without some big shift that's like, okay, I guess we're headed in this direction now, or okay, I'm just going to ride this wave, right? It's like it never feels comfortable. So, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's like if any of you guys are on here and like feeling just this discomfort, the discomfort that just comes with one, what life is right now, but also comes with just, again, leveling up and just being more of who you are. It's like you're not alone, and I feel like it's for a reason. I also think the more we come into who we really are, the more we get tested. And it's almost like we're being tested to show up as who we say we are, which I do think is easier said than done, especially because, and again, the more and more I look at my stuff, the more I'm seeing how much certain conditioning has played into how I move in the world, how I move in life. And sometimes it's like people can react to certain things and it's not based off of their truth. It's just because it's just based off of maybe what they were taught or how they were conditioned to think and believe. And sometimes I think it's worth challenging those things, like challenging, like, oh, like, why do I do this? Like, for example, I've noticed lately, and it's funny because if you were to ask me this a few years ago, I don't think I would say this, but I feel like I've noticed a lot lately the areas in my life where I abandon myself. And when I say abandon myself, I mean where I say yes when I really want to say no. When I just kind of go along with things, even though I might not want to. And I've definitely gotten a lot better. It's definitely not something I do all the time now. But still, every now and then, I'm like, why did I just do that? And sometimes it's such like an unconscious thing. And that's when I start to pay attention, like, oh, wow, like I really wasn't honoring my truth in that moment. Why am I doing that? And how can I stop doing that? And let me know if any of you guys have ever had that feeling where it's just kind of like, that didn't feel like me. Because I know I can't be alone in thinking that. And what's also to me very interesting about this point in time is that 2025, it's so funny. Me and a coworker were just talking about this. 2025, it says, marks a universal year 9. Numerology, which y'all know I'm all about, symbolizes completion, endings. Oh, it says my connection is unstable. Can you hear me? I hope you can. Which symbolizes completion, endings, and transformation, preparing for new cycles. Then also what I thought was interesting about this too, I can't remember who told me this, but a friend was telling me about the Chinese zodiac and how it's the year of the snake, which means shedding layers. For some, this might look like relationships, careers, old storylines, all of it will collapse. Excuse me. In the same realm, I was looking on Instagram. You guys know I'm always finding a good quote or something. And this girl, so it was posted by the Hood Healer. You guys should follow. She says she's like an abundance coach, but she has a lot of like really cool like personal development content, you know, all this stuff that I really love. And she posted something the other day that said, like, it was all around how like we're kind of experiencing a frequency shift right now. It says it's a mass awakening where illusions fall away and everything built on fear or control can't hold. It's a moment you decide to live by spirit instead of survival. Ooh, I feel like that's what I was trying to say too, with the whole like when I abandon myself and I'm not honoring my truth. I feel like it's purely based off of like a survival technique versus like me actually thinking, like, versus me actually feeling like, okay, like this is what I really feel called to do. Like sometimes I feel like I do things, well, not so much anymore, but sometimes I'll catch myself doing it in that way, like based off of survival. She also says it's relationships dissolving overnight because your vibration no longer matches, which I was like, that is so aligned. When it comes to, you know, the more you step in your truth, the more things fade away. It's jobs, identities, even cities losing their grip on you when your soul outgrows them. Old timelines collapsing, higher timelines anchoring. I wanted to ask you guys too. It's like, have any of you guys felt like you've been experiencing that? One, kind of coming more into who you are, and then two, as you do that, just kind of like seeing how you either just don't really resonate with certain things anymore. Have any of you guys experienced that? Let me know, and let me know in what ways it's been showing up for you. It says, and then it also says, those who cling to the past will feel the dismantling as chaos. Those who surrender will experience liberation. So honestly, and sometimes when I think like when we're in these periods of life, it's like how can we embrace what's going on versus being afraid of it? And how can we trust what's happening versus being like, "Oh my gosh, I don't want this to happen." Cuz sometimes I feel like when we're in that mindset of I don't want, I don't want, that's what sometimes brings more of what it is, like the chaos or whatever it is that you're experiencing into your life when you're kind of trying to push it away. I always and I've experienced this too. It's like where it's like whatever you kind of push away starts to like come back full force. Oh, Donita said, "Yep, the minute you level up, people who's supposed to be your people fall off hard." And it's like because I will say like I've definitely had some ups and downs with relationships. Honestly, over the past maybe like yeah, like 2 years or so. But I also think to that point, I feel like there's this sometimes this thinking. Honestly, I have a lot to say on this. I don't know if I'm going to get to all of it. I think I might need to do like an actual sit down episode to kind of like really hone in on my thoughts. But I feel like there's kind of this like toxic narrative around friendship online happening right now where sometimes I'm like, okay, like there's some content that like I just like can't really look at because I just don't like the narrative that they're spreading. And sometimes it's not, sometimes it's that there was supposed to be a shift, right? I do think sometimes people are in your life for a season and that you can honor that beautiful season that you guys were together. And it doesn't mean that the friendship failed. It doesn't mean that that person's not a good person or you're not a good person or anything like that. I think sometimes relationships just reach a point where they're either not super aligned. And it doesn't even mean that that misalignment has to last forever. It's like, I fully believe that a lot of relationships ebb and flow, So sometimes you're closer with some people, sometimes you're not. And I think that's totally fine. And especially because it's like you never know where your life is directing you. You never know where your life is taking you. And I do think the more we say and I do think that the more we can the more we can see that and the more we can recognize that and the more we can say, okay, maybe this isn't the most aligned for me right now. I feel like that just kind of opens the door for more aligned relationships, friendships, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is to enter your life. So I almost feel like we're in a season right now where we're being tested to not hold on or like not to attach or just hold on too tightly to things that we know might not be aligned for us right now. And I say there's kind of like a toxic narrative around this because sometimes I see online people being like, well, if this person doesn't do this, then they're a bad friend. Or if this person doesn't show up like this or whatever, it means they're not a good person. I don't know. I'm sure you guys have seen the quotes. And it's almost like I've been seeing a lot that places certain obligations on friendship, which I personally don't think is healthy at all. To me, the most beautiful friendships that I have are the ones where it's like we're not making anyone feel obligated. We're not holding on too tight. We're freely living. And if it aligns to do something together, then great. And if it doesn't, like, it's okay. And it's like, I almost feel like I almost feel like the narrative online, at least, is that things are very, very personal when I'm learning that they're really not. Sometimes it's not about, I don't like you, you don't like me. Sometimes it's just, oh, this isn't aligned. And it's not because anyone did something wrong or because anyone's, I don't like saying that someone's good or bad because I don't really even fully believe in that. Like, I think it's more of someone's aligned for you or not aligned for you, I guess. But I don't know. Sometimes I just think the narrative online makes people almost do things out of fear, doubt, or guilt versus doing things because it's resonates with their truth and is really something that they fully feel aligned to do, if that makes sense. So I did just want to address that because you just made me think about that. And growing apart in any relationship is hard. Letting go is hard. It really is. It really is. Friends, I could do a whole podcast on this too. And in some ways, too, I feel like this year is calling a lot of us to just let go of what's no longer serving us. Right. And it doesn't have to be like a letting go in a way where you're like pushing things out of your life. Right. Because there was a point in time where I kind of feel like I did that, but but it's but it was more so in a way where I thought that, oh, maybe this is how I find peace, right? So it's like I think with all of this, with letting go, with welcoming things into your life, with all of it, it's almost like I feel like it's to be done without force and it's to be done in flow, if that makes sense. Like I don't think it's about holding on too tight or letting go in a way where you're like pushing things out, if that makes sense. Like I think it's almost like let's just subscribe to the flow of life right now because I do think that there is a natural flow of life and I feel like it's when we go against that flow that we start to feel the or it's like I feel like when we start to go against that flow it's when we start to feel a bit unsettled. And I do think right now it's all about just like surrendering, right? So then more on this. Oh my God, how is it already 4:30? So then on the same Instagram post that I was telling you about, she also says, when you rise in consciousness, the world you know dissolves, which is kind of like what I was saying earlier. Oh my God, that's wild. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's actually something that I just shared with my friends earlier today. That's crazy. And then she's also saying the end times is really just the end of a pattern. When you stop feeding what drains you, whole realities collapse. Set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. A trained mind can, no, I don't want to talk about any of that. Oh, then she goes into eclipse season. Because listen, eclipse season is eclipse season over or is it over today? It's she says eclipse season doesn't require performance. All you have to do is be. That's why it's so difficult for folks. Most don't know how to just be without some kind of performance. I would challenge performance. I would say a lot of us, myself included, I think struggle with just kind of being still. And I think that's something that I'm personally working on right now, just giving myself time to just be and fill myself up with all that I am versus feeling like I have to do something. Like in therapy, like my therapist slash osteopath, it's like we talk about how whenever you kind of go into like the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, like the and again, I say this more so like with personal endeavors because it's like I know with jobs and stuff like that, sometimes there are just things that we need to do, right? But like with personal endeavors, inner work, creative things you might be working on, when you start to go into the I should do this or I need to do this or blah, 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 that's pulling you out of you just being. That's pulling you out of you just honoring your truth in the moment. If you feel like you need to be a certain way in order to do something, right? It's like, how do we get better with just being in terms of, I just want to talk about this today, so I'm going to talk about it versus feeling like I need a script, right? Or Oh, I really want to take this pottery class, which I actually really want to take a pottery class soon. But I shouldn't be spending money on that. I should be spending money on X. It's like, no, it's like I do think that investing in your creative endeavors, investing in things that feel good for your soul is a good investment. So do that as much as you can. As I'm saying this to you, I'm saying it to me as well. Oh, and then she also says, I love this part. She also says, be open to unexpected miracles always. The universe will always meet you at the level of your readiness. Oh, because then she also talks about how, remember, success is when preparation meets opportunity. Oh, that's kind of like a different thing, but be open to unexpected miracles always. You come into this world with one pure prayer to be held, loved, and nurtured, and that desire never leaves us. Victoria says, same. I've been wanting to take a long course for a while. I was thinking about it earlier today. I tried to take a course in college many years ago, but it filled up super fast. Yeah, take the course. Take the course, sign up for the class. I've actually been doing a writing workshop that's been really fun. I also do think in this in between season of life when things feel crazy or if things feel crazy or things feel super slow or you just feel like you're not exactly where you want to be. I also think it's kind of opening ourselves up to kind of find what brings us joy and happiness in this moment and to kind of find our flow. Because I also think the more you start to hone in on who you really are, it's like you'll notice maybe your interests change, right? Like maybe you're not interested in the same things you were a few years ago. And I feel like that's definitely what's happening with me right now. And I kind of feel like that's sometimes why I'm starting to feel off because I'm like, oh, I don't necessarily enjoy this thing anymore, but what's the next thing I could enjoy? So I've I've been trying to give myself like a few weeks to just like explore and have fun. Like that's why I really want to take a pottery class. Honestly, I wish more of you guys lived in LA because it'd be really fun to do something like a class together. I also take a dance class at my gym that's fun. So I don't know if I told you guys, but I danced for years when I was younger, not competitively, but I danced for quite a while. I've also even been thinking of I don't know if I want to join like a league, but in high school I loved playing volleyball and I'm like that could be fun like to do like an adult volleyball something. The only thing is I am a little rusty and I'm not trying to get hurt trying to dive for a ball and do all the things, but I'm like, that could be fun. I'm also like, maybe I'll try tennis. I don't know. It's like, I feel like I'm in this exploration phase of life again, where on one hand, it's tricky because again, I'm kind of like, oh, I used to like doing certain things and I'm not loving them anymore. But on the other hand, it's like, oh, I wonder what my next thing is going to be. Right. And it's like, I feel like I'm just kind of trying to open myself up to what could be fun and interesting for me right now versus feeling stuck in the an older season of life where maybe I like doing I'm trying to think like what's an example of something I like doing that I don't really love doing anymore. Well, even just little things like going to day parties and stuff and not knocking you if that's what you like to do, but I'm just realizing it's not really that my thing anymore. Like I'm not and there was a time child where I could listen Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, yo girl was out. Okay. Yo girl was out. She always knew what was going on, where the parties were. And it's funny when you reach that point where it shifts and you're like, huh, I actually don't love doing that anymore. One, sometimes I'm not sure if it's the I'm gonna say the P word because I still feel like YouTube and social media restricts you when you say it. But you know that period of time when we were all stuck in the house and couldn't do anything. I do kind of feel like after that period, I don't know if it's like social anxiety, but it's like I just don't really feel the need to be in environments with a ton of people. Whereas before I kind of was like all up in it. Now I'm kind of like, I'm good. True. Listen, sometimes those shifts happen overnight. But yeah, like I think I'm definitely being pushed to explore and have fun because this is another thing. Oh my god, my osteopath and I were just talking about this about how like in these phases it's really important to play and have fun because that's the frequency that like life responds to, right? When you're happy, when you're when you have this positive frequency, when you're playing, when you're losing yourself in something you're doing but you're having fun with it, right? That's the frequency that life loves. And I feel like when you're on that frequency, that's when you start attracting more of it too. So I've also been trying not to be so rigid with, I need to find something that I really love to do. It's like, no, Tiff, just like let it flow. Like I've been trying to do more of just setting my intention or just like being in my personal frequency throughout the day. Do you guys know what I mean when I'm saying like being in your frequency and things like that? Let me know if it's like too woo woo or if you kind of get what I'm saying, but it's more of it's more of this feeling right now where I just want to fill myself up with all that I am because I feel like when I do that, I'll start attracting the things that are aligned with all that I am. And that's honestly what I want for you guys too. And it's a big reason why, like, even with my podcast, it's like focusing on these moments that make us say that's real, right? Because I do think that it's in those moments where we kind of start to get a glimpse of who we really are and what just really resonates with us outside of what other people are telling us to do, outside of what we're seeing on social media, outside of just everything else. I feel like it's really those moments that like spark joy or spark curiosity that at least for me feel at least for me feels like it's bringing me closer and closer into who I am. Asia said explain girly. Okay. Okay, how do I best explain this? So, I do really believe that we all have like our home frequency, like the frequency of our truth. And I think we access that frequency in different ways. I think we can access it through meditation. I think we can access it through or you know what? Even if this sounds a little too woo woo, I'm just going to share how my osteopath and I do it because it's the way that I learned. So if you guys want to do it with me, feel free. If you're kind of like, this is too much, that's totally fine. But tuning into this has helped me a lot. So we start with first like grounding ourselves. So it's like you can picture like a white light or like a white cord going from the top of your head through your body down to the center of the earth and then back up again. And then you picture like a bubble around you, and it can just be like that's your personal space, right? And when you're kind of envisioning your personal space, you know, what are the colors that you see in your space? And like that's kind of like your home frequency. It's like the frequency that like resonates most with you. Does that make sense now? And there's a way you can like hold and like set your frequency. Like, for example, if you want to set a boundary, right? It's kind of like imagining your space with your frequency color and imagining your space with your frequency color, right? And say you want to set a boundary that's like whatever's aligned for me is allowed in my space, whatever is not stays outside of the space. You can even intend, so you can even like see, okay, like what's the aligned color to set a boundary with? Sometimes I remember last time I did it, I got green. So I, again, pictured my grounding cord, pictured my space, pictured my home frequency color, and then just put green around my circle. And that was me like setting like an energetic boundary. I think that's the word that's missing. It's almost like you tuning into your energy, like your personal energy source, and being in that frequency of your energy source as often as you can. Okay, cool. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know if it sounds like, well, you know what? Again, that was something I said I was going to let go when I started this call, is it doesn't have to come out perfect. But that's basically what I mean. And there are frequencies that we align with, there are frequencies that we don't align with, but I do think that the more we can tune into what ours is, the more we start to attract, again, like what truly resonates with our home frequency. So it's something that I personally try to do as often as I can. And there's like other things you can do with this too. Like there are ways to set intentions. There are ways to, or honestly, a lot of the work that we do is setting intentions, and also like setting intentions, but with the, but by understanding the quality that that intention wants to bring forth. Because I do think that when it comes to things that you're, let's say, manifesting in your life, because I feel like that everyone kind of knows that word manifest, right? When it comes to things you're manifesting in your life, I feel like it's really important to focus on the qualities of what that is versus the thing itself, and like the feelings that it evokes in you versus the thing itself. Because I do think when you embody all that, I do think when you embody those qualities, that's what brings it closer to you versus you saying, I want this thing, I want this thing, I want this thing. I think it's more embodying and being it. Again, you can even like attune your frequency to embody that, because it's almost like showing like, okay, I already am being this. So the world outside you has no other option but to mirror that back to you. Because this is another thing. Ooh, see, the more I like talk things out loud, I feel like the more I like kind of know where I'm going with certain topics and whatnot. But something that I've also been realizing in the season is how much life is a mirror in terms of the people you meet, the situations that come into your space. I am a firm believer that situations, people, energies, whether good or bad, are sent to help us, not to hurt us, and are just sent to show us where we need to heal. Well, because I see mirrors as I see mirrors as operating in two ways. One, mirrors can reflect back all of the wonderful things about you. And then two, mirrors can also reflect back the ways in which you need to heal. And I don't know about you, but like that's where I've seen the most come up in like relationships and situations and whatnot. So wait, where was I going with this? The whole mirror thing. So when you come across a situation and it feels really difficult, ask yourself, what is this mirroring back to me? What is this trying to teach me? Because I'm at a point where I'm like, bring on the mirrors. Like, I want to be tested. I want you to bring these situations to me where I'm being pushed outside of my comfort zone and I learn what I'm supposed to be learning. Because there was a point in time where I used to push this stuff away, where, like, for me, it would kind of be like, okay, if it doesn't feel good, that just means I need to, like, kick it out of my life. I don't want it around. Like, I'm over it. But now I'm looking at it more of, okay, yeah, this might feel a little uncomfy, but am I supposed to learn something through this experience? And sometimes, I mean, if you have the people pleasing in you at all, which I did for quite some time, sometimes the uncomfy things could actually be teaching you, hey, like this feels uncomfortable because you're not honoring your truth and saying no. Right? So I yeah, it's like I do think that life is such a great mirror. And if we can see it that way versus as this is a good thing or this is a bad thing or this hurts or this doesn't or whatever, it's like I feel like our whole world starts to expand, you know? Like, I'll give an example. Someone says something that hurts your feelings. What is it calling you to do in that moment? Is it maybe calling you to look at yourself and where you need to heal? Is it calling you to have a better boundary? Like sometimes it's just not, and this is kind of what I meant earlier about just taking the piece out of this is personal and this is someone being mean to me, or this is someone, honestly, even when it comes to good things, right? It's kind of like, this isn't a personal thing, but maybe this is here to teach me, to show me, to help me grow in some way. Because I do think at the end of the day, we're all kind of on this path to honor our truth in some way and just unlearn all of the things that have pulled us away from that. And I think that's why we constantly have all of these things happening in our lives to kind of either poke at us like, hey, friend, you're not honoring yourself right now, or hey, friend. Well, or for example, because I feel like this has happened a lot in my life where I've kind of had to be like, okay, maybe this person served a purpose when I was in my people pleasing era, but now that I'm not, I'm not sure if they do. So, hey, Royce. Royce has a question. Hope you're doing well. What's your top favorite stores to shop at the mall? If I'm being honest with you, I've been really struggling with shopping because every time I go to the mall, I feel like I'm never finding anything that I want. So I honestly couldn't tell you. I'm always looking in Zara, but I feel like I haven't found anything there in so long. Sometimes I shop at Aritzia. Sometimes it's Nordstrom. The Mayfair Group, where I got this sweatshirt from, is a fave. But I actually really need to do some shopping because it's like I'm also at a point where I'm like, my whole wardrobe needs a revamp. I feel like that's something that needs to be cleaned out. I actually have a few bags that I need to drop off at Goodwill, but I don't know. What's your favorite store to shop at? It just feels like my whole life is going through a clearing. Clothes, things I used to resonate with, everything. It's just like, girl, we lifting it up and we pushing it to the side so that you can step into the new level. What's Mervyn's? I haven't heard of Mervyn's. I haven't heard of Mervyn's. That's so funny. 18 people are on and 18 liked it, which is funny because this number, well, it's more so 818, like has always like showed up in my life for some reason. Anchor Blue. I don't even know what Anchor Blue is. I haven't heard of Anchor Blue. Oh my God, it's literally almost 5:00. I haven't heard of Anchor Blue. It was a popular store like, oh, what? Really? Oh my God, that's so crazy. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that store. But friends, that's basically how I've personally been feeling about everything that's been going on. If you have comments, questions, shares, feel free to drop them in the chat before I hop off. But yeah, in a nutshell, I think we're just all going through a big shift. And I do think while we're all going through it, it's like, just be kind. Not only kind to yourself, not only kind to others, but kind to yourself. Because also a big thing that I'm learning in this season is giving myself grace. I used to be really, really hard on myself. That's where I think the perfectionism comes into play. But I used to be really hard on myself. Like if I felt like I got something wrong, or if I felt like, even with oh my God, I used to be such a big perfectionist, even when it came to like my healing journey, right? I used to be like, oh, I know better. Why did I? Because, sometimes you just drop back into old patterns. And it's like, I'm really trying to give myself grace there too. Giving ourselves grace, but also giving other people grace too, because friends, everyone, I don't want to say everyone because I'm trying not to generalize, but I just think you never know what someone's going through. And it's like, just be kind. And I think that this is a time right now where it's really important to feel freedom and safety within yourself, but also allow other people to feel freedom and safety in your presence too. Like, if I don't know, my friends and I were actually just talking about this. If someone can't answer a call, like, it's okay. If someone can't, it's like, if someone can't, I don't know, attend or show up, or I don't know, like, I just feel like we're in a season right now where it's like, just be kind. Just again, I keep saying everyone, but a lot of us are having a hard time, even if it doesn't look like it or seem like it. I feel like I am the master of putting on a brave face, because I just think that last year in Paris, when I was just creating content, I don't think anyone would have thought that I was going through it. And I feel like that was also a time where I just wasn't really open to being super vulnerable online. So I was kind of like, I'm just going to show up and be happy and whatever. So it's like, you never know what people are going through. And especially with social media is 1,000% a highlight reel. That's something that I also had a hard time with too sometimes, was people would see me on social media and think that everything was fine, because sometimes it's like, who's going to post themselves crying all the time on social? I mean, if that's your thing, it's your thing, but whatever. So I think sometimes people had a hard time wrapping their brain around the fact that I was also going through a hard time. Wow, now we're right at 8:18. It's so funny. In terms of like 8 people on and 18 likes, that's crazy. So yeah, just be kind, because even if people aren't saying it, it's like, you never know what someone could be going through. With the big shift and changes, sometimes it's so hard not to get anxious. I agree. Hey, Michael. Hey, hey, hey. Oh my gosh, all good. Welcome. And Asia, I understand your point about the anxiety, because friends, it might not seem like it, but I am a very anxious person. Or no, I'll say I am working on being less anxious. There was a point in time where I was very anxious. And I feel like in these seasons of anxiety, or I feel like in these seasons of feeling a bit more anxious, it's like, what can you do to make you feel more grounded in yourself and in your truth? And I feel like that's where kind of connecting with your home frequency, connecting with your higher self comes into play. Kind of understanding, what is that thing that's a constant in your life? And this actually was on the Mel Robbins podcast. There was this I think he's like an ex football player who's now like a motivational speaker. I cannot remember his name. I think it might be Trenton or something like that. And there's a point in the podcast where he was talking about, if your worth is placed in anything outside of you, how you feel about yourself will always waver. But if there's something that you can constantly come back to, for him, it's faith. For him, he said it's faith. I think for me, it's also faith. Then that's kind of that kind of helps you navigate uncertain times. I also think a lot of us are being called to just trust the process, which I also know is easier said than done. And trust and believe, it hasn't always been easy for me to do. And I think that's what contributes a lot to my anxiety, is just kind of like wanting to know what's coming, or wanting to know the next step. And I think when we can feel comfortable, and I think that when we can feel comfortable in present time, regardless of what's happening around us, that's how we kind of move through it a little bit quicker too. Trusting the process is hard. That's why CBD is my friend. Oh my God, that's so funny. That's what we were DMing about. Listen, I know. But sometimes I wonder, like, is it is it hard because we've just been taught to feel more comfortable? How do I want to say this? Is it hard because we've been taught to kind of know what's coming next? Excuse me. And I only say that because think about it from young, right? Or let's say preschool, first grade, from a very young age, at least from 8 to 18, right? We've always known what we were looking forward to. First grade, second grade, then there's third grade, or in school, it's okay. I know there's a test coming up. I know there's this dance coming up. It's like, I feel like the way our lives have been structured up until the point of adulthood, things have been very much like you kind of know what's coming next. So then it's like, I feel like when you're an adult and things aren't as structured anymore, it's like, I don't know what I'm doing kind of thing. I think our higher self knows. I think our home frequency and all of that, like we feel settled in that. But I just think it's more of our conditioning that makes us feel a little like, oh no, we're in the unknown. So it's scary. So sometimes I wonder if it's just like an unlearning that needs to take place. And it's almost like we need to retrain our minds to be okay with not knowing what comes next. Because I do think it's in the unknown where I do think it's in the unknown where it's like usually the most beautiful experiences come, right? When you don't know every single thing that's about to happen, when you let life surprise you. And I also think it's about being open to those surprises. And I think we can only be open to those when we're giving ourselves the freedom to not have it all figured out. So, something else to think about. Um, Royce says, this generation is definitely difficult to understand and navigate. So much news always pouring in 24/7. Comparing yourself on social media is stressful enough. It's a scary time for sure. And Royce, I mean, I would agree there's a lot going on. It's kind of what I was talking about a little bit earlier, just about there's a lot happening right now, not only in our personal lives, but just in the world. And it's a lot. That's why I think having a moment to just be, even if it's like 5 minutes a day, to just fill yourself up and do something that makes you happy, do something that sparks joy. It could literally just be listening to your favorite song. What your favorite song's probably like 3 minutes. Just something to kind of bring you back into who you are, I think is really important. Like for me, friends, I'm a little ratchet. I'm a little ratch, but I love Ken the Man. I am like, there's something about her music that's just like, yeah, I am that bee. Like I am that girl. I love her music. I don't know if any of you I don't know if anyone else listens to Ken the Man, but it's like those videos where you see where the girl's like, I'm in my soft girl era, but she's like listening to Ken the Man. Because it's very like rap, ratch, all the things. Okay, Victoria knows what I'm talking about. I love her. But it's like, even just like blasting that driving around, I'm like, yes, like this is me. This is who I know myself to be. That confident, bad, like, well, I want to say bad, but I don't know if I can say that on YouTube because last time I swore, I literally said, last time I swore on YouTube, I think it like limited my reach. So I'm trying to be careful now. And it's not even like I swear that much. Like, you guys know me. But I just feel like I'm that girl. when I have her blasting. So it's like whatever you need to feel like the best version of yourself, like if you can do that 5 minutes a day, like just do it, whatever it is. And I feel like that's kind of what I mean too by tuning into your home frequency. It's like whatever makes you feel like the most powerful version of you, the most I was going to say intentional, but that's not the right word. The most girl boss, guy boss, the most magnetic, like whatever puts you in that zone, do more of that. Doechii, put the money in my mother hands, okay? Listen, I love Doechii. Is anyone going to her concert? I was really sad. She doesn't have any dates in LA, but part of me feels like she might release other dates because she's not even performing in Tampa, and that's like her home city. So I'm like, something's definitely going on. I feel like she might release more dates, but Doechii is my girl. I love Doechii. Period. Okay? Love her. Asia says, for me, it's like, oh my God, she sold out. See, for me, the closest one would be San Diego. And I was like, I don't know if I want to go to San Diego just to see her. Maybe she'll come out with an LA show. So kind of just patiently waiting. Asia said, for me, it's like hope deferred. Like, why are dreams taking so long? I'm not getting any younger. 30s hit different. Funny that you say that because I was just talking to my osteopath about this too. And I do think that there's like an aligned timing for everything that happens in our lives. And sometimes I think as much as we need to trust the process, we also need to trust the timing. You know, it's funny. I'm actually glad you brought this up because I think this will be a good thing to share. But because I was telling my osteopath, I was like, yeah, it's like, you know, I see things happening all the time. Like, for example, there's this one influencer who I follow, and there was a period in her life where she was going through postpartum, which I've never gone through it, but from what I've seen and heard, it's a tough period that a lot of women experience. And she was having a really hard time. And she started making videos, and I think it was like her third video that just like popped off and like went viral, and she just kind of blew up, and it just formed into her career and all of that stuff. And I'm like, that is so cool, right? Like that's so cool that things happen for people like that. And I was asking her, I'm like, so what does that mean? Does that mean she's just more connected to who she is and stuff like that? And she was like, no. She was like, your higher self, your higher self knows the aligned timing for everything, and your higher self can set things up to teach you in certain ways. So it's like maybe that's just the way that she needed to learn something in her life. So it's almost like trust that whatever is happening in your life is the aligned timing for you. Because I also do think when we force things to happen on our own timing, right? Like our mind's timing, or when we think we should be doing it, I feel like that's when it starts to become chaotic and rough and all the things that we probably actually don't want. Whereas if we stay open and flexible, right? And we're open to just the aligned timing of something we want to happen, I feel like that's when it allows whatever that thing is. I don't know what it is that you're working on or want to call into your life, but I feel like that's when it kind of comes in with like ease and flow. And I'm at a point where it's like that's personally where I want to operate. Like I want to operate through ease and flow, and trust and believe there are things in my life right now where I'm also just kind of like, okay, might not be here yet, but I know it's coming. You know, the way to think about it, it's like whatever you're working on, think of it as like an Amazon order. I also saw another influencer say it this way too, where it's like you place an Amazon order. It's not like you're constantly worried that it's not going to get there. Or, I don't know, maybe you are because it's Amazon, but it's like you place an order, you know it's going to come. I feel like with life stuff, you might not know exactly when it's going to come, but you know it's going to come. You know it's going to happen for you. And I think it's just trusting that it's going to come through at the aligned timing for you. As I'm saying this to you, I'm saying it to myself too, because I can at times be very impatient. But I think the more we lean into, oh, it's coming, and we're also okay with what's happening in present time, I feel like that's when it helps life move and flow. Because who knows, like if you're still waiting on something and you're getting really frustrated with it, who knows? Maybe that's your learning. Maybe your learning is to trust and be okay with what's happening in the present moment. I don't know, just throwing it out there. I don't think I've heard much of her music, but I know I've been listening to Lettucey's new album. Lettucey, who's Lettucey? Or give me a song. Because sometimes I remember songs, but I don't remember like the actual person, you know? Try 41. It is all a setup. But for real, you have to trust the divine intervention. Read Paul Coelho. Oh, I love Oh my God. The Alchemist is literally one of my favorite books of all time. OMG. If any of you on here have not read The Alchemist, woof, it's such an easy read, and it's it's a book that kind of just opened me up to the ways of life. I loved it so much. Highly recommend. Oh, that's such a good book. Danita, thanks for sharing that because it truly is a game changer. I'm always looking out for my order, but I get what you mean. I mean, aren't we all? Aren't we all? So I'm going to keep reading some of your comments, but something that just popped into my mind is if you're on and you feel open to it, why don't you share one thing that you can do every day that allows you to be pulled into like your like the best version of you? So that frequency I was telling you about, like when I'm riding around listening to Ken the Men or Dochi and I'm just feeling so good and I'm like, yes, like I can do anything. Like, what does that look like for you guys? Like write down at least or put in the chat at least one. And I'm saying put in the chat too, because you never know who you can inspire by sharing what your thing is. And sometimes, and at least for me, it's like I learn so much from other people. Like inspiration is sparked, creativity is sparked when especially when I'm like listening to someone who's really honoring their truth. I feel like I just get the spark and I want to run and like kind of like do my thing. So yeah, what's one thing that each of you feel like you can do a day, like that you can do every day that just brings you back into who you are? And it can be a silly thing. It could be doing jumping jacks. It could be doing jumping jacks on your balcony because you used to do that when you were a kid. Whatever it is that makes you feel the most you, what is that? For me, music definitely gets me there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Music gets me in my groove. I've also been, oh my gosh, something else I've also been doing is just like drawing. Like, where's my journal? Let me see if I can hold on one second. I'm going to grab my journal. So I try to do this thing called morning pages every day. If you guys have read The Artist's Way, that book I'm always talking about, when you're doing morning pages, you're basically just like jotting down anything that comes to mind. And sometimes I'll just write. It's so funny because on this one, this is from September 19th, I wrote, music equals visions equals play equals divine creativity. Don't try, just flow with it. And I just wrote flow. Even just doing stuff like this, it can be whatever you feel called to do. Because also, I will say, the more I find myself in this flow state, like tuning into my home frequency, doing something that makes me feel the most me, I feel like that's kind of when I start to get like visions of maybe what it is that like I want to be doing. And it's so funny because I never knew that this was a thing, but sometimes I feel like I experienced maybe it the first time in Paris. I was at a Beyonce concert and I remember like looking at the screen and like feeling like I was having these visions of like, oh, like something I could be doing. Or there was another time where I was watching this movie. I had just taken myself to the movies by myself. I think I was watching Creed 2. And there was something about a song that was playing where I was just like having all these visions. Like I was like, yeah, I can do this. So sometimes not sometimes, I do think when you are being all that you are, that's when you start to attract the vision of what it is that could actually manifest in your life too. Let's see. Art Professor says, my tune of the day and week. Sade, never as good as the first time. Been listening to it all day and watching the video on YouTube. Great tune and music video. 100 out of 100. Hey, please, age ain't nothing but a number, honey. And 50 plus is not like you're good. We got all ages up in this community. So thank you for sharing. Michael White, she made the song all right, but she has made so many good songs, legit. Read it, and I want to read it again. Think it's a good to read during different times in life. Oh, that's a good point, Victoria. I know I actually haven't read it in a while. I don't think I've read it since New York, which is New York was like 10 years ago. That's crazy. Victoria says, meditating really was good for me when I did it every day. I didn't even do it for long. Also, pep talks in the mirror. Ooh, I love a good pep talk in the mirror. Come on. I love that. Let's see. TCS. Getting outside and getting fresh air every day. It's hard because sometimes I don't feel like it or work is heavy, but fresh air always helps me. I love that. That's actually something that I've been trying to do more of too, because I think most of you guys know, but I work remotely. And I think sometimes with remote work, it's like you can literally just be working all day and it's like there's no real end time because you're not like getting up to leave an office, right? And I've honestly been a little worried, like, girl, you just be sitting on the couch on your computer for the majority of the day. And I'm like, I need to be a little bit more active. I'm getting back into my workout routine and everything. But something that I've also really been trying to do more is get outside, take a walk, get some fresh air. But also, and I'm really speaking to people who, especially if you're working remotely, is just being around life, I think is really important. Because sometimes when you're home all day, I mean, there were days where I'm like, dang, like I haven't seen another person today, or I haven't been around life today. So sometimes just like getting outside, even if it's just being in nature, right? Because nature is life. I think it does do a lot. I think it does help a lot. Thanks for sharing that. Let's see. Danita says, I really like music from before I left California. So 2015, like old school. Ooh, I love some old school R&B and hip hop. Brings me so much joy and gratitude. It really reminds me that the storm does not last always and things can change daily. I love that. Yes. I like listening to oldies. There's this one song that I love. And it's like, YouTube sometimes annoys me because sometimes I just want to be playing you guys these songs, but copyright. let's see. There's this one song that I'm, like, obsessed with. It's like an kind of old school-ish with Fabulous. I've always wanted to make, and I really should just do it and share it with you guys, but like a high vibe, like Spotify playlist. Do you guys all have Spotify? And just share it so we all can like vibe out together. My God, this one nail is really annoying me, but I'm getting my nails done tomorrow. Uh, oh, that's a song. Forever. Um, we ain't get no younger, baby, and I'm ready to be with you. Hey, I love that song, and I love the remix too. Wow, you walk 45 minutes to the gym? That is amazing. That is kudos to you, friend. Michael says he likes listening to. I also like high vibrational music as well. What's high vibrational music? Like meditation music? And okay, also the thing with whatever you guys choose for your B time, whether it's meditating, whether it's listening to music and whatever, it should be something that feels good to do in your, well, yes, obviously feels good to do, but it shouldn't feel like a chore to do it. Like it shouldn't feel like, okay, now I have to have my B time. Like it should feel like you're excited to have your B time. You're like, yes, it's time for B time, even if it's 5 minutes. Because again, it's like that joyful, playful frequency that we're all trying to be on that allows us to attract what it is. Okay, I'm gonna try and make the playlist. Well, my playlist right now is pretty ratchet. I mean, do you guys want my ratchet music? Like, I'm happy to share that too. But friends, my playlists are crazy. And it's so funny. The lyric I was laughing at earlier, oh, because I forgot to mention it. You know in Ken the Men song where she's like, when ain't adding up, I'm subtracting. I don't like it when I math ain't mathing. Like that's how I feel about the season of life right now. Let's see. Go to an art museum or art gallery. I actually love going to art museums. Find a work of art that strikes a chord in you and just take it all in. Looking at art can be both a soothing and transformative experience for our mind and soul. Absolutely. And I was saying this in another episode. I went to the LACMA, which is the Los Angeles County Museum of Art here in LA, obviously. And I was going with a friend from out of town, and she actually said to me, whenever she goes into museums, she just did like she walks in like without an agenda. She's not like I have to see every single piece in this gallery, but she literally like lets her intuition guide her and like just sees what she naturally feels drawn to. And then she takes that piece in. So I'm actually trying to do that more when I go to galleries. And I think art is so beautiful too, because whatever you're resonating with, it's like there's probably something in the artist themselves that like poured something into that painting or piece that you're also resonating with, And honestly, that's why I feel like this AI stuff, like the AI art and all of the stuff, I don't know, because it's like it doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have feeling or anything that goes into it. And honestly, I feel like when it comes to art and creativity as a whole, I feel like that's what people are most resonating with. So, yeah, thanks for bringing up the art stuff. Thank you. Look at us. Oh my gosh, how many people work remotely? Do a handful of us work remotely? Yeah, it's like I am very grateful to have remote work for sure. I just think with that comes a little bit more of me having to give myself a bit of structure so that I am still being active throughout the day and not just like tied to my computer. Oh, I think, Michael, are you talking about the song I was singing? Sometimes I feel like the chat is delayed. I know. I love that song. Hey. And it's like, even, and it's like when you're doing your thing, whatever it is, it's like, have fun with it. Just like let it flow. And also don't feel like it needs to be done a certain way. Right. So, for example, to the person who said they like to take a walk, like, don't be like you, it's not like we have to be like, okay, I need to take an hour-long walk it's like, no, because I mean, at least for me, that sounds stressful because I'm also realizing I'm someone who like needs to switch up their routine every now and then. Like if I stick to the same exact thing every day, it's like I'm just like, I can't. So it's like, let it flow, have fun with it. Like maybe this day you're gonna walk to the coffee shop. Maybe the next day you're gonna walk to Trader Joe's. Like switch it up a little bit too. Oh, so you just mean like vibe and high. Like, mm-mm. This is why sometimes I'm like, maybe I do need to host a Zoom or something. And so uh, more so that we can all like see each other and I can like play music and we can like dance and stuff. And because even though I like don't go out and party as much anymore, it's like I still like to have a good time now. And I feel like you guys like to have a good time too. So I think that could be fun. Love that. Love that. I walked. Well, I did take a little walk today. Walked around a little aimlessly. But wait, I'm so excited that we're all going to start doing things that feed our soul. And it doesn't have to be a huge commitment again, but I know. Oh my gosh, same girl. Same girl. Like it, sometimes it's not cute. Sometimes I'm just like, girl, you haven't left the house. But I'm trying. I think we're all a work in progress, but all right, I do have to hop soon, but and I'm ready to be with But friends, it's been real. It's been fun. And I'm excited for more of us to just tap into our thing. I'll just say this another tune I've been playing in heavy rotation is Popol's classic Fireball featuring John Ryan. I know that's right. Okay. Yes, I love this. It's like, I love doing these live streams because it's like I can feel the energy. Like it's like I can feel the energy from you guys. It's like it just feels good to be in this community. It really does. And I don't know, I just love when we're all talking about just things that genuinely bring us joy. It definitely changes the frequency of things. But this was so fun as always. And again, for any of you guys who are going through it, just come back to who you are, come back to your way of being and doing whatever feels good and feels in flow. Take the pressure off yourself to get things right or do them in a certain way or do them in a certain time. Let's all just surrender, release, and open ourselves up to the flow of life, what we're here to do, and our truth. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for me. And I'm going to try and do more of these. I don't know if I'm going to do them every single week, but maybe at least, the very least, once a month. I love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in. And I will catch you on the next live or on the next podcast episode. Bye. Oh, you're so cute. Thank you. Bye.